South Africa is a country that always creates an impression. We know of its diverse population, the troubled history of apartheid, and its rebirth as a global travel destination. I've been a fan of this country for many years, but this is my chance to go beyond the obvious South Africa, to explore on foot and take time to see how life and stunning landscape work today in the new South Africa, the country that's now keen to invite the world. Hello and welcome to one of the most famous wildlife reserves in the world, the Kruger National Park. Few tours of South Africa are complete without a visit to this massive expanse of wild Africa. It is without doubt one of the best places on the planet to come on safari. But I'm here to do something a little bit different. Out there, man has always struggled. It's full of uncertainty, danger and some very big animals. I'm here to explore that remarkable relationship between man and this land. And I'm going to be doing it on foot. There may be a lot of dangerous animals out there, but trust me, it is possible to come here and go for a walk. The Kruger is the country's #1 game park, home to lion, leopard, elephant, buffalo and rhino, the famous Big Five of Africa. It's difficult to believe that 1 million humans come here every year. They largely disappear in a vast area the size of Wales, a precious reserve where Africa runs free. This is Bergendal, one of the main rest camps in the Kruger National Park, a sort of safe haven for humans, if you will. But I'm going to take things a little bit further. I'm heading out into the bush on something called the Volata Trail. It's a little-known wilderness experience, and I'm going to be living, walking and sleeping in an area that humans rarely venture. But I'm not just going to be relying on my big nose to keep me out of trouble. I'm going to have an expert ranger by my side at all times. Otherwise, I'd be a fool. For those of us more used to encountering sheep and the odd rabbit, the prospect of this walk certainly causes some anxiety. I'm stepping into one of the world's great wildernesses, full of danger, legend and heroic tales of the African bush. Kruger is tucked away in the northeast corner of South Africa. Stretching for 350 kilometres north to south, it runs along the border with Mozambique, all the way to the border with Zimbabwe. But my adventure takes place in the southern end of the park. I'll be venturing out for a full 2 days in the Volata Wilderness area, where visitor numbers are strictly limited. My walk is based at the remote Volata camp. From here it's possible to explore the many watering holes, open plains, rivers and hills that make up this part of the Kruger. Got my bag packed, small bag, as I hope you've noticed, and this is Yaku. Hey Yaku.
Hello Julia.
Good to
nice
see
to meet
you.
you.
Should we get loaded up?
Absolutely.
Yaku Badenhorst is my guide for the next 2 days. A game ranger since 1992, he knows the Kruger like few others and specialises in taking walking groups out into the wilderness. The moment you step outside Bergendal Rest Camp, you're in the Kruger proper, and for us, the tarmac quickly turns to dirt track. But before Yaku and I get any further, let's take a look at where we're heading. From Bergendal, the four-wheel drive follows the dirt track that leads into the Volata Wilderness area. My destination is the tiny and very basic trail camp, my place of refuge for 48 hours in the bush and the central point for my walk. From here, Yaku will lead me on a series of circular walks. We'll be following the tracks of the biggest beasts in Africa, exploring open plains and dry riverbeds. What we'll encounter, no one can predict. There are no signposts, not even a planned route or a set distance. But at the end of my wilderness experience, there will be a climb. For Jaakko has promised to take me to one of the many rocky outcrops of the area, the perfect viewpoint to take stock of everything I've learnt and discovered. Normally 8 people would come on a wilderness trail like this one, but don't think Jaakko's got it easy, because he hasn't just got to look after me, he's got to look after this lot as well. And that is John in the back. He's known as our second rifle. He's looking after us as well. Hello. So whilst John's priority is the film crew, I'm sticking right next to Jaakko.
Oh, Julia, there's a giraffe.
Yeah, look at that, 2 minutes in.
Having a good time at that knob thorn.
Yeah. And what we're doing, what we're about to do, is pretty rare. It's a special thing. Not many people do this every year, do they?
No, there's only 7 of these wilderness trails throughout the Kruger Park, from north to south, and only 8 people, maximum of 8 people per trail. And just, you know, if you go back, and I promise you, you won't be the same person driving out of here than going in there.
Thank you, John. So now we can breathe out and start to relax.
You're in the volatile wilderness area. No one is allowed to go in on this road, and no one is allowed to walk in this area while we're here. So for the next 3 days, basically this whole 62,000 hectares is yours.
I like it. The exclusivity of this walk is truly exciting. The 7 small groups of walkers dotted around the Kruger are the only members of the public regularly allowed into the national park's designated wilderness areas. Just setting out on this walk feels like a privilege.
So here we are.
Home sweet home. This is a good wilderness camp. Look at that. Home for the next couple of days. Deep in the heart of the wilderness, a 45-minute drive from Bergendal, lies the Volata Trail camp. Tiny and basic, it provides wooden huts to sleep in and some slight protection from what lives all around. Now that is a loo with a view. This site was chosen in 1978, the very first trail camp in the Kruger. And fittingly, my walk was named after the legendary Harry Volata. A century ago, he was one of the Kruger's earliest game rangers. Today, merely stepping out of the 4x4 is enough to give you a taste of his world. So, a pretty substantial herd of elephant. Just a few feet away, and this is the fence that protects us in our camp. Isn't that fantastic? But the real business of a wilderness experience doesn't start until the morning. And before that, as the noises and the big cats of the night take over, there's an important briefing to attend.
And anything can get into a camp like this at any time. You've seen the fence. We've had hyenas into the camp, and we've had a odd leopard coming into the camp and sniff around. So the fence basically is just to keep you in, or to keep us in. It's not to keep the animals out. Right, then tomorrow morning what we normally do is get up early in the morning. It's roughly about 5 o'clock-ish. It's
nice early call.
It's early, but it's just a nice time of the day. It's crisp, clear and nice air, well, morning air. Now the main reason why I'm sitting here with you tonight is to see that you get back in one piece. If we do get ourselves into a dangerous situation, which I will never ever consciously lead you into, but if you get ourselves in a tight spot, just listen to what I tell you to do. If I say stand still, you know, then I mean stand still. If I say get behind a bush or a log or a termite mound or whatever safe ground is available to us in that vicinity, then I will direct you to such a place. Otherwise, Just try to enjoy it right from the word go. Get into it as soon as you can. And
I'm already there.
It looks like it.
It's not often I say this, Jaco, but I'm looking forward to 5 a.m. And so the next day, the whole crew and I are woken at first light. Dawn in the bush is undoubtedly a beautiful thing. I'm definitely not a morning person. But if there is one place in the world where you will get me smiling in the morning, it's Africa. And so the time has come when all normal sensibilities are put to one side. It's time to step out into a park packed with 1,000 leopards, 1,500 lions, and the volatile area's undoubted star, the rhinos. To be walking through the Kruger at 6 o'clock in the morning is so exciting. You feel alive, exposed and ready for adventure. Unlike all previous walks, I have no idea where we're going. Jaco leads according to what he finds, so even he will never follow the same route twice. And despite my full briefing last night, the reality of walking with two men carrying rifles has quite an impact. Jaco, there's a fairly strong wind. That's good for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good for us, yeah, because it's a consistent wind, and that's what you want if you approach dangerous animals. So you stay above the wind, and specifically with the elephant, that's got eyesight's not that good.
They go by smell.
But they go for smell and hearing as well. Very good hearing. But elephant and rhinos, smell is a very important sense.
So this wind protects us a little.
Well, it gives us the advantage. Yeah. It wouldn't protect us, but it gives us the advantage. Yes.
Nothing protects you out here apart from this.
So, Jules, here we get to a nice animal highway. Not created by people. It's always all animals. And they use these footpaths like to walk from waterhole to waterhole, or easiest way along the river course. So, yeah, like an absolute highway. It's just an easy place from point A to point B.
Whilst I'm worrying about what might lurk in every bush, I've also prepared for the greatest yet tiniest danger of all. A course of tablets should guard me against South Africa's only malaria-carrying mosquitoes. Africa's biggest killer is a far greater threat than any lion, elephant, snake or scorpion.
It's a good example, Julia, of middens, a white rhino midden. And they've got these middens in and around their territories, and specifically next to their footpaths. Bulls are very territorial, rhino bulls, and they use their footpaths, and they create these middens in and around their territories just to put their scent, like a dog would lift his leg against a tree.
This is the very end of the winter dry season, and at the first sign of rain, Jaco is sure all big animals will be heading for a waterhole. So of course, that's where he wants to lead me.
Cool themselves down.
Little bathing
So
spot.
it's a good place to see animals. It's been dry up till now, but a bit of rain last night helped. I expect to see something here.
Oh, elephant.
There is. That's an elephant. And further down there's buffalo. Is it buffalo moving?
Wow, double sighting.
Is that a herd of buffalo? I saw the tracks earlier. They obviously came around. Came down to drink or wallow and went back up.
What I didn't realise is just how fearful of humans these massive creatures are. When we're hidden inside a noisy vehicle, they can seem quite relaxed. But as soon as they recognise a human being on foot, there's an immediate intrinsic fear.
These guys are totally relaxed because they don't know we've got the wind in our favour. It's the same with this buffalo that's only 40 metres away from us.
And it's fascinating watching the elephant wander through the wild. How can an animal of such a huge size just disappear. They're literally behind a tree, behind a bush, and invisible. We've got a good old buffalo checking us out here, look. And even once the animals have moved on, the world of the watering hole is full of information and insight. This is where large mammals come to bathe in mud and take a course of rubbing, a regular treatment for the niggling problem of ticks.
So Rhino would come and stand over it, and he would rub himself. And it's normally ticks go and sit inside of the thighs, around the genital parts, armpits, because that's where the skin is thin enough for a tick to go, well, penetrate. Getting rid of ticks, by getting rid of the mud, they get rid of the ticks that gets stuck or embedded in the mud. Now look at this guy. He's, I think he's hanging around just waiting for a rhino to maybe come and rub himself so that he can
do the
jump back
reverse
down,
leap.
jump back on.
Nasty little things,
Yeah.
ticks. Look at him,
Big
he's
one.
flailing around. He can
Oh,
sense us. Yaku's depth of knowledge is really quite astounding. He reads this landscape like a book, and every turn produces a new and unexpected lesson.
You can squeeze it. Squeeze a lot of water out.
In the 19th century, at the height of the Transvaal gold rush, pioneering transporters braved lions, snakes and malaria as they crossed this land to reach the Indian Ocean. Their skills and adventures were made famous in the classic South African novel Jock of the Bushveld. Today, Yaku uses the same skills to educate, entertain and of course conserve one of the world's great wildernesses. The complete turnaround in man's role here began in 1898 when Transvaal President Paul Kruger declared a game reserve. The first time there had been any attempt to control the impact of hunting.
White rhino, cow and calf.
Oh, and we literally just walked into this pair.
The wind is again was in our favour, so we were downwind. The eyesight is also not very good. You can see the ears going,
Yeah.
the radar out. You see there's a ditch between them and us, and their natural escape route would be going out the other way. And obviously it's good for us because it'll help us. Right, a nice sighting.
A really nice sighting. I've never been that close actually on foot.
Let's get it.
Day one on foot in the Kruger has been absorbing. Yaku's relaxed approach can easily make you forget about the reality of where you are. But as we head back to camp, he tells me of an occasion when a walker encountered a leopard inside the camp in the dead of night. It seems that occasionally elderly animals prefer rummaging through bins to running after their own prey. Yaku's lent me this book. It's the memoirs of Harry Volater, who was the pioneering game ranger from this park. One of the reasons he's famous is that he survived a lion attack. A pair of lions knocked him off his horse. One of the lions went after the horse itself, and the other lion savaged him from the rear. Of course, in those first few moments, I was convinced that it was all over for me. But then, as our painful progress still continued, it suddenly struck me that I might still have my sheath knife. I struck him twice in quick succession with 2 backhanded strokes behind the left shoulder. The lion let out a furious roar, and I desperately struck him again, this time upwards into his throat. I think this third thrust severed the jugular vein, as the blood spurted out in a stream all over me. Now, as if that wasn't enough, lion number 1, who was after the horse, came back for him, so he had to escape up a tree, and apparently it was only his faithful hunting dog barking that distracted that lion, and he survived. It's all very Jock of the Bushveld, isn't it? Very exciting. The next day, filled with the heroics of Harry Volater, there's a fresh feeling of apprehension. As a newcomer, you can kid yourself that the dangers are all just imagined. But no, they are certainly real enough. Today, though, Yaku's keen to show me a different side to the Kruger, a fresh African landscape, somewhere to really appreciate the magic of true wilderness. Much more green here.
Yes, we're in a riverbed, Juliet. It's called the Malumban. It's obviously dry this time of the year because it only really flows after heavy local rain. You can still see there's a bit of greenery around, and it's obviously it's a nice view.
Lovely view, lovely trees. 10 years ago, the Malumban River flowed for an entire year, but such events are rare. But that doesn't stop the river from being a vital landmark for flora and fauna. Animals dig deep in the sandy riverbed to find moisture, and the banks are dominated by sycamore fig. Their roots help to stabilise the riverbank. And the river also attracts a new musical accompaniment, with crested lories, hornbills, woodpeckers, starlings, and this morning, a Wahlberg's eagle. Listen. This really is a bird watcher's paradise. There are around 450 species in this national park. And I think most of them are here now. It's quite unusual to have a job like yours that will have changed so little over, say, 100 years.
There is not much difference, Walking now here, doing it as a job, in my case, and walking here 500,000 years ago, in essence, there's no difference.
Now, this is a malaria area. How do you protect yourself against malaria? Because you can't be on malaria pills all year round.
No, you can't drink it all the time because it's got a lot of bad negative effects. I don't like to say it, but I had malaria 12 times.
12 times you've had it?
Yeah. I ended up in hospital on 2 occasions. I was quite sick. But again, I waited too long. I mean, if you catch it on the early development stages of the parasite in your blood, it's easier to cure it. If you wait too long and you start getting the fevers, then it's almost already too late. And
I'll keep on taking the pills. The simple mosquito has a deserved reputation, but it's arguably been a source of salvation for the Kruger National Park. For centuries, it's helped keep the human masses at bay and preserve this land as a true stretch of wild Africa. There's a rhino as well. My wilderness experience is almost at an end. But as we leave the river and head towards the rocky high ground of the Volata, we're back in the favoured plains of the rhino.
You've got a rhino here just below the dead tree. See the grey shape?
Oh, yes.
It's turning.
Yeah.
It's also a big... It looks like a big territorial bull.
Whew.
And
he's a monster.
Yeah, it's big. Hasn't heard us yet. He'll pick us. The wind is quiet at the moment. But if he comes this way, I want you to follow me now.
Follow you now.
Come, get behind the tree.
For the first time in 2 days, Yakko is on edge in an instant.
Just behind this branch here. Okay, he knows he can hear us.
Uh-huh.
He's difficult, you can just see he means business.
Yeah.
So just stay there.
Yep. I'm going to do exactly what he tells us.
Come. dan ben nie daar die mense.
Gee. He's still watching us.
Right. He's definitely a massive, big territorial bull, and they're normally very reluctant to leave their areas because this is his area. He definitely picked us up, but I think it's more he could hear us and see the movement. And I just want to get us away from here because it's his area. He's not going to leave it, so I think we should rather leave.
Okay.
Come, John.
Jaco and John have the utmost respect for this land, that much is clear. Spending time with them has been an opportunity to relish. So often as a traveller, experiences can seem a little packaged. But as Jaco leads me up the bare rocks to our final viewpoint, there's no doubting what a wild and unpackaged destination South Africa can be.
Just look at this view. Isn't that nice? One of my favourite places. Not difficult to see why.
No.
If you look down, you can see the camp.
Yeah.
You can see and that was the hut you were staying in. But as far as you can see, it's all just the Volunteer Wilderness area. You know, that's just us.
This vast vista, untouched by the modern world, is the pinnacle of my journey into the wilderness. Jaco likes to compare an experience like this to climbing a pyramid. As you leave the outside world, you gradually shed the accessories and comforts of normal life, progressing to reach this remote spot of isolation in the Kruger.
But unfortunately, life doesn't work like that. You can't stay on the top of a pyramid forever. It's a whole balance in life. You know, what goes up must come down.
So, right now, let's enjoy it.
Why don't we do that?
We're on the peak.
There's a few better places in Kruger Park where you can do that.
Thank you, Jaco. Thanks for bringing me to the top of your pyramid.
It's been a pleasure.
The term a unique experience is quite musty and well worn, but there's no doubt that the Volunteer Trail is incredibly special. You don't know what you're going to experience, what you're going to see, what animals you may encounter. And it's a liberating freedom. Jaco said to me, when you drive through this country, you see the land, but you feel the pulse of Africa through the soles of your shoes. And it's true. You do.
Jonathan Edwards is in Paris tonight at 7 for live coverage of the World Track Cycling Championships. And at 8, no less pressure for the sowers as Great British Sowing Bee